Hello everybody, we are back again today after doing a ton of playoff previews, which I really am thankful for you guys watching that and leaving all your comments that for the most part were really nice. But we are back again talking about some other hockey news today. Now before we start, I wanted to say please make sure to subscribe to my channel if you're new to me, new to hockey, especially this time of the year. That's pretty common. So I am going to try to do this hopefully as a career, and if you want to be here for me trying to do that, I would really appreciate it. So subscribe, and if you don't want to, no big deal. So today we're going to be talking about three things, and we're going to try to keep this unscripted because some of the comments were saying that they would really like non-scripted videos, and this is a really easy way to do so. But kind of talking about just some hockey news within the past day or so. So the first topic is today talking about the Boston Bruins getting the plague, it seems. I was leaving work, got out of work, and got in my car, checked my phone, especially right now with so much hockey news going on. You really need to be hip and privy to it, I guess. And it was just reports about all these players for Boston that were game time decisions. Ultimately, Patrice Bergeron, I think, was the only Bruin to not be able to play in game one, but you had Ullmark, Swayman, and some other guys that looked like they could have missed this game. Now, Ullmark did start in net, and he just allowed one goal on 32 or 33 shots against. So a good night for him as the Bruins win the first game of the first round against the Florida Panthers 3-1, and that's critical there. But you do wonder going forward in this series, especially how this illness will impact him. I'm not exactly sure what it is right now. I do know that there is a kind of weird thing going around the U.S. right now that isn't life-threatening by any means, but it is a pretty severe thing where you'll have vomiting or diarrhea, as graphic as that is. But yeah, right now it seems like the Bruins have something. Is that the case? I don't know. And how will this impact them further on? Probably not too much, but you do think for this series, if you're the Panthers, you're probably not ecstatic because you don't want to be seen as this team that got lucky because the greatest regular season team of all time ended up getting some weird bug. But right now, too, you do think for Boston that for the guys in the locker room, they really got to make sure that they focus up and try to take care of business as early as possible, because you would hate for more guys to really start to feel worse maybe towards the middle part of this series and then have things slip away from them. And if you are the Bruins organization, you especially are probably thinking, keep Ullmark and Swayman hydrated and away from everybody else, because you don't want to have both of those guys miss a game, especially against this Florida team, while they, aren't a club that you think of as a title favorite. With some of the guys they have on this team, Barkov, Reinhart, Tkachuk, etc., you would hate to have to bring in somebody else compared to those two and then have to wonder about, was this the right decision made? So in all seriousness and joking matters at the same time, you probably just want to make sure that Boston focuses on getting healthy from this illness. So yeah, that is the first thing here in this story or this storyline day. And the second thing is the fact that the Las Vegas, but the Vegas Golden Knights will be activating Mark Stone from the LTIR. Stone had back surgery. I think it was back in mid-January. I did a video about that. That is his second procedure in less than a year on his back. And in that video, I even said, do you wonder about whether or not Stone's playing career is in jeopardy going forward? And it seems like at the moment it's not that far in jeopardy, because he said he wanted to get back. He was proud of his teammates. He really wanted to just get back with the boys and try to do something. And it's pretty impressive for Vegas that they've been able to deal with a lot of these injuries, especially in net. But with Mark Stone, a guy that is viewed as one of these better two-way forwards in the league, or at least he has been in his career, has been a gem coming over from Ottawa for them. So a lot of people are angry. Oh my gosh, LTIR move, blah, blah, blah. Tampa Bay Lightning again. This is something that's been legal for quite some time, and we have seen other teams do it. Now, did the Tampa Bay Lightning take advantage of it and really just run away with it? Absolutely. Vegas, coincidental that Stone is there and he's ready to go? I don't know. I'm not in Vegas's locker room, but I will say for Vegas, who is taking on a Winnipeg team that features a underrated goalie in Connor Hellebuyck, a guy that's won a Vezina, like I was telling my buddy Steve at work. Of course, if you guys have watched the channel for a little bit now, you probably know Steve. We said, this is one of those series that, especially with the situation in net for Vegas, this could get away from the Golden Knights and possibly see a Jets upset with Hellebuyck being just a rock in net. However, with the addition of Stone, I think this makes it less likely. Yes, he could be rusty, but at the same time, getting a guy like him back, and if he gets his feet under him, his just gets in a good spot. I think Vegas is going to be okay here. Will we always hear about the LTIR? Yes. And will it probably be prevalent for teams that you hate? I don't know. I don't know if you hate the Lightning or the Golden Knights, but it does seem like those teams that are the villains of the league, if you will, are the teams that people focus in on this. And yeah, it's one of those situations where until they change the rules, teams are going to do this. So for me, I'm not mad at Vegas about it, but it is kind of funny just to see everybody go crazy on Twitter, on Instagram, on whatever. But yeah, good news for Vegas. And then the final talking point in today's video is the most boring, but I still feel like it's very interesting, and that is the Flames firing Brad Treliving yesterday. Meant to do a video yesterday, just very, very busy, especially, of course, if you didn't file taxes, wink, wink. At least at that point, the deadline is today. So for those of you that didn't in the US, please do so. And for the Flames, back up to Canada, we're talking about the fact that they did some work too, but this time, of course, parting ways with Treliving, and that is just a fancy way of saying that they probably were going to fire him. He understood that, and he decided he wanted to leave. I think Brad's tenure with the team is not set in stone yet. While he is gone, what happens afterwards, I think, is how people are going to view him. He's been there for almost a decade and has been with the organization for some time, of course, and has had good seasons with the Flames. Not seasons that really ended in major success in the postseason, but a few years ago, they ended up having the top seed in the West. We all know how that went, but this was a group where he made some good decisions, made some bad decisions. You'll see that with GMs that have been there for a while. And I will say, when all this stuff started to go down with Gaudreau and Tkachuk, I think he was put in a bad spot. He ended up getting Weegar and Huberdeau and made some other moves, of course, and kind of made some moves out of desperation that, like I said, at points this year, they probably would be good for now. For the future, you are concerned. Now is where we get to see that he's going, especially the Huberdeau and the Weegar signings, Gaudreau, all those guys. If those things don't go well for the coming years, the future GM is going to have a lot of headaches to deal with, and the fan base is going to remember Treliving because of how he impacts the team going forward. You look at Jim Benning for the Vancouver Canucks. There were a lot of decisions made that he still will probably have an impact for the organization for years to come, even though he hasn't been the GM now for a full season. And for Calgary, you look at this decision and you wonder, was this kind of a bit too early because they kept Daryl Sutter? And for Suts, he is a guy that, again, you look at Calgary, they had a pretty good push to get to the postseason. They didn't make it. However, you look at a lot of the things that they did pretty well. They outshot teams pretty well, and they were able to just really have a better opportunity to get more chances for in terms of shots for, stuff like that. And that's kind of been a big thing for Daryl in his time coaching in the league, especially think back to those LA Kings teams. They weren't studly offensively, but they posted good metrics, and they were able to limit teams in terms of what they were going to get on Los Angeles is into the net, stuff like that. Calgary kind of reminds me in certain ways of those former LA Kings teams. So with his future kind of being saved for this year, you wonder why wasn't Treliving's, and I guess we will see. I do think Calgary absolutely could be a team that sneaks back into the wild card next year. If not better, it kind of just depends. Huberdeau really had a big drop-off, the biggest drop-off in terms of points from one year to the next. They had 115 last season, and then 55 this past season. That is very difficult to see if you are a fan of Calgary. But again, they had a lot of things in their favor. They outshot teams really well, multiple times, countless times, but they weren't really built for a comeback. They were just kind of built, I think, especially to get out there, get their chances, get a lead, and shut things down. So I don't exactly know what's going to happen for their future, but again, I don't think that Treliving necessarily had to be fired this year because, you know, they were right there. And I don't exactly know if other teams that were ahead of them in the wild card will be a lock, mainly Winnipeg, but I guess we'll see for next season, and of course some off-season moves. Anyway, that's just kind of some news for today, not really scripted. At least I didn't have a script, and we got to talk about some things, and hopefully for the Bruins to get healthy, Stone can come back and be fine, and the Flames can kind of figure out where they want to go as an organization. What are your thoughts on this news as well as other news? I'd love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night, and you go love hockey, all right? Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.